My dear students, teachers and all the viewers of TSAT channel, welcome to the Bridge Course Digital Lessons. Children, today we are going to learn about climate and global warming. Children, in your previous classes, you have learned many concepts about climate and you have also learned about global warming and its effects. Now, coming to today's topic, children, we are going to discuss about climate and global warming. Human activities are causing global warming and endangering the earth. It is our responsibility to save our planet Earth. Now, let us discuss what are the factors that influence climate and what causes global warming and how to prevent global warming in this lesson. Coming to learning outcomes. After watching this video, students will be able to explain about weather and climate, differentiate between weather and climate, explain about the layers of atmosphere, explain about the consequences of global warming, suggest measures to prevent global warming. Children, where do we live? We all live on this earth. Children, do you know what is this earth covered by? Earth is covered by land, water, atmosphere, plants and animals, human beings. The earth we live on is covered with 4 layers called atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, lithosphere. Children, observe this picture. We can see 4 layers here. The hydrosphere, which is covered by water, atmosphere, which is the air surrounding the earth, biosphere is covered with plants, animals and human beings, lithosphere is comprised of the land and rock layer on the earth. Lithosphere, it is a hard and solid surface on the earth with thick layer of soil containing minerals and rocks. Children, observe this picture. You can see, children, observe this picture. You can see some of the surface is covered by land and some of the surface is covered by rock. So, this rock and soil cover on the earth is known as lithosphere. It is very hard in nature. The surface of the earth is not the same everywhere. It has mountains, plains, plateaus, valleys, deep sea trenches. All these are formed with action of air and water. Children, while traveling in a bus or a train, you might have observed some places with mountains and some with plains filled with green fields. At some places, you might have found rivers or streams flowing. Lithosphere provides the land for plants and animals to live on this earth. Hydrosphere. The land covered with water is called hydrosphere. Rivers, lakes, seas, oceans make hydrosphere. Children, what all the water bodies you observe on the globe which are colored or which are marked in blue is called the hydrosphere. So, hydrosphere covers all the water bodies like lakes, rivers, seas and oceans. There is also water under the layers of rocks. We draw the underground water with the help of bore wells which are used for agriculture and drinking. So, apart from the water bodies which you see on the surface of the earth, there is some water underground which we draw with the help of bore wells, which we call the groundwater. So, we use this groundwater for agriculture and drinking. This water also comes under hydrosphere. Atmosphere. The thin layer of air around the earth is called atmosphere. Children, observe this picture. You can see high mountains in this image with clouds passing by them. The clouds, the air above the surface of the earth, all these come under atmosphere. Atmosphere contains oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen and many other gases. It also contains moisture, dust particles. It provides the air needed by the plant life and animal life. Biosphere. The plant and animal life, including microorganisms like bacteria living on the earth up to the top layers of the atmosphere to the deep sea bottoms is called biosphere. That means from the top layers of atmosphere to the bottom layers of the lithosphere, whatever the animal life or plant life is called biosphere. Even small microorganisms like bacteria, fungi also come under biosphere. Imagine the world without land, water, air. Isn't it difficult to survive? Therefore, land, air, water are essential for the existence of either plant life or animal life. Imagine the life without land, water, air. Isn't it difficult? So, it is very essential that land, water, air, are very essential for plant life and animal life. So, children, let us learn how these layers of atmosphere contribute for plant life and animal life. Weather and climate. We need air to live. We cannot live without air. There are many gases in the air and there is also oxygen in it. Children, the air which we breathe in is oxygen and it is very essential for human beings to be alive. We breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. As you know, children, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Observe this image. Trees absorb the carbon dioxide we breathe out and release oxygen through photosynthesis process by absorbing sunlight and water from the atmosphere. Children, observe this picture. Trees are giving out carbon dioxide through the process called photosynthesis and release oxygen, which is very essential for human beings to live. Plants and trees produce food through photosynthesis process. We get essential nutrients in the form of proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, etc. by consuming the food produced by the plants. Children, by this we can understand that plants and trees produce food that is very essential for human beings by undergoing photosynthesis process. By this we can understand that biosphere contributes for life on the earth. Without atmosphere, there would be no rains, without which there would be no soil deposition and formation of different types of soils. We cannot fly kites, neither birds can fly in the sky. We frequently hear the words weather and climate. People use these words with the same sense, but let us learn what is the difference between the climate and weather from this lesson. Weather. The thick layer of air surrounding the earth is called weather. Children, observe this image. Here we will try to understand what is the composition of atmosphere. Atmosphere is the composition of nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide and neon, helium, methane, hydrogen in small quantities. The composition of nitrogen in the atmosphere is 78.08% and atmosphere composes 20.95% of oxygen. There is 0.93% of argon and 0.038% of carbon dioxide, 1% of water vapor, dust particles in small quantities. Atmosphere protects life on the earth by shielding it from incoming ultraviolet radiation, keeping the planet warm through insulation and preventing extremes between day and night temperatures. Children, you can observe ultraviolet rays released from the sun, and this is the ozone layer which protects us from ultraviolet rays. So, it is atmosphere which has the ozone as the shield which protects the earth from ultraviolet radiation. Weather condition. The state of atmospheric conditions of elements like temperature, humidity, precipitation, etc. over an area at a particular time less than 10 days refers to weather. That is, weather is the condition of temperature or precipitation or the changes in the climate for a short period of time in a particular area. These weather conditions fluctuate very often. The clouds, winds, sunshine keep on changing even in a short period. Now let us see what is climate. Climate refers to such conditions over a large area and follows a similar general pattern over 30 or more years. Weather refers to short period less than 10 days and climate refers to long period of time, that is 30 years or even more. For example, when we refer to the atmospheric condition of Hyderabad, we should say that the weather in Hyderabad today is hot, but should not say that the climate in Hyderabad today is hot. India's climate is influenced by the monsoon winds, therefore, India has the monsoon type of climate. The pattern of the elements of weather and climate for a place can be shown using pictures called climatograph or climographs. Just like the interior of the earth is arranged by layers, the atmosphere also has many layers. Now let us see what are the different layers of atmosphere. It is not just an easy job to study the structure of the atmosphere, which is very widely spread. Scientists earlier researched about it through air balloons and at present through satellites. On the basis of chemical composition, the atmosphere is divided into two broad layers, homosphere and heterosphere. Heterosphere. It extends up to a height of 90 kilometers, which consists of three layers: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. Homosphere is characterized by uniformity in composition of gases like nitrogen, oxygen, argon and carbon dioxide. Heterosphere. The layer above 90 km of the thermosphere is called heterosphere. It has heterogeneous composition and hence the name Heterosphere. It has two layers, thermosphere and exosphere. Atmosphere can also be divided into various layers. Atmosphere can also be divided into various layers based on density and temperature. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere. These layers are classified based on the density and temperature. Children, observe this image. This is the sea level. Above the sea level, the first layer is troposphere on the surface of the earth. Next comes the stratosphere, which is the upper layer of atmosphere above the troposphere. Exosphere is the topmost layer and below lies thermosphere. Troposphere. Troposphere is the lowermost layer of the atmosphere. Its average height is 13 kilometers and extends roughly to a height of 8 kilometers near the poles and about 18 kilometers at the equator. That means troposphere is thicker at equator and thinner at the poles. Thickness of the troposphere is greatest at the equator because heat is transported to greater heights by strong convectional currents. Troposphere contains about 75% of the total gaseous mass of the atmosphere and practically all the moisture and dust particles. The entire weather phenomenon happens in this sphere. The temperature in this layer decreases as we go higher, which is known as normal lapse rate. Condensation, evaporation, precipitation, rainfall, cyclones, etc. occur in this layer, which we call troposphere. Stratosphere. This layer extends up to a height of 50 kilometers. This layer is almost free from clouds and associated weather phenomenon, making conditions most ideal for flying jet aircrafts. One important feature of stratosphere is that it contains ozone layer. The temperature increases as there is increase in altitude. Mesosphere. It extends up to a height of 80 kilometers. Meteorites burn up as they enter this layer from the space. Thermosphere. It extends up to 400 kilometers. In thermosphere, temperature rises rapidly with increase in height. Exosphere. This is the topmost layer of the atmosphere. It is the uppermost layer of the atmosphere. This is the highest layer and very little is known about it. Now children, having learnt about the differences between weather and climate and different layers of the atmosphere, now let us learn about the different elements of atmosphere and how they affect the climate. Temperature. The temperature is high at the equator and low at the poles. Children, if you observe this picture, near the equator the temperature is high, and as you have learnt in your previous classes, the equatorial region is very hot and the region near the poles, that is near the north pole and the south pole, are colder compared to equator. Air pressure. The air around us is composed of gas molecules. Pressure is high when molecules come closer and low when they are far. If you observe this image, you can find that the molecules of air are very closer. When temperature is high, there is more vacant space and less molecules, causing low pressure. When air becomes cooler and denser, pressure increases, causing high pressure. Children, you can see few vacant spaces in the molecules here. So when there is vacant space in the molecules, low pressure occurs and the air becomes cooler and denser. When temperature is high, pressure is low. When pressure is high, temperature is low. This is called an inverse relationship. Just as water moves from higher place to lower places and heat moves from warmer places to cooler places, winds move from high pressure to low pressure. Let us know something more about the winds. If wind moves at slow pace and we feel comfortable in it, we call it a breeze. If the wind comes in a short and fast burst, we call it gust. If it moves very fast and blows things around, we call it a storm. Classification of winds. Depending upon the speed of the winds, their features, their directions and the way they occur, winds are classified into three types. Planetary winds that blow continuously throughout the year. Seasonal winds, they are restricted to a particular region for particular season. Local winds, which are local in character. These are the three types of winds: planetary winds, seasonal winds and local winds. Children, having learnt about the temperature and air pressure and types of winds, now let us learn about the other element of atmosphere, that is humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the air. In high humidity, our sweat does not cool us because it cannot evaporate. In low humidity, we also feel more thirsty. Have you ever observed clouds like this? When clouds are like this, we feel very sultry. That means the sweat does not evaporate from our body and we start feeling more thirsty. Children, from where does these clouds get water? The water or the moisture, the water in the form of vapor or the moisture in the atmosphere is derived from water bodies through evaporation and from plants through transpiration. That means evaporation occurs on the water bodies like oceans, seas, rivers and lakes, and transpiration occurs from plants and trees. Humidity is measured by an instrument called hygrometer. Evaporation and condensation. Change of water into vapor is known as evaporation. The reverse process, that is the change of water vapor into water, is called condensation. Clouds are tiny droplets of water hanging in the air above. We have just seen the picture of clouds where the water was hanging in the form of droplets. Now, in this image, you can also see the process of condensation where you find small droplets on the glass and the small droplets on the leaves. These droplets even you can find on the glass of water just when you fill the water from a fridge. Precipitation. Precipitation is nothing but falling of water drops from the clouds. It may be in the form of rain or it may be in the form of ice, which we call fog, or it may be in the form of hailstones, which we call vadagallu in Telugu. When the clouds continue to rise upwards, it gets cooler and more droplets are formed. The droplets come together to become bigger drops. As they get heavier, it gets more difficult for them to remain in the air, and so they begin to fall as raindrops. So, when it becomes heavy for the clouds to hold the droplets of water which are in the form of water vapor, it starts falling in the form of rain. Here we see the forms of precipitation. Rainfall is the most common form of precipitation, as we have discussed earlier. Other forms of precipitation are dewdrops, rain, snow, hailstones. Other forms of precipitation are snowfall, fog, hailstones. Children, if you observe this image, the arrow marks start from the water bodies, which is arrow marks start at the water body. This is the process of evaporation where the water starts moving in the form of water vapor from the water body towards the sky. Now, the arrow marks are reaching the clouds where this process is called condensation. The water vapor changes into water. The process of water changing into vapor is called evaporation. Evaporation occurs before reaching the clouds, and evaporation occurs on the surface of the water, and transportation is the process where the water is transported in the form of water vapor is transported from the water bodies to the clouds. And condensation occurs, and condensation is the process where the vapor is converted into tiny droplets in the clouds. Precipitation is the process where the clouds release the droplets in the form of water. The tiny droplets in the clouds, when become heavier, are released in the form of rain, which is called precipitation. You can see the cloud shedding of the water, which we call rain. Then again it reaches the surface. Then again the rain reaches the surface of the earth and runs in the form of rivers and streams, which we call surface water. Some of the water received by rain is also absorbed into the ground, which is called groundwater. Children, till now we have learnt about the water cycle and different stages of the water cycle. Children, now let us learn about the global warming and consequences of global warming. Global warming. Anthropogenic global warming, AGW. Anthropogenic means caused by humans. Anthropogenic global warming means global warming caused by human activities. Children, if you observe this image, you can see lot of pollution released in the atmosphere. Now let us see what is causing global warming. Modern industries intensively use fossil fuels. Burning of fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, which releases harmful gases like carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide and methane, which are called greenhouse gases. The ozone layer that is protecting the earth from harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun is damaged due to the greenhouse gases. This is called greenhouse effect. As we have seen earlier, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide and methane are called the greenhouse gases, and these greenhouse gases damage the ozone layer, which is called greenhouse effect. Children, observe this image. This is the impact of global warming, where we see melting of glaciers. Melting of glaciers occur as the temperature on the earth increases due to global warming, and this melting of glaciers may cause severe floods and climate changes. Floods and drought are the impact of climate change. Children, you can see here, due to lack of rains, drought has arisen and there is scarcity of food everywhere. This image shows the temperature change in the last 50 years. This bar shows the averages in 2011 to 2020 and 1951 to 1980. The bars in red indicate increase of global warming, increase in temperatures on the earth, and this affects the serious effects of global warming. Children, we have seen that global warming is caused due to modern industrialization, burning of fossil fuels and the effect of greenhouse gases. Children, we have also seen the consequence of this global warming and the adverse effect of global warming, and this global warming may cause climate change resulting in floods and droughts. Now let us see what measures we can implement to prevent global warming. Children, look at this image. This image shows a public transport vehicle. So using of public transport vehicle instead of using independent vehicles, we can reduce the burning of fossil fuels, thereby reducing global warming. Use of renewable resources, for example solar energy, wind, instead of non-renewable resources, for example coal and petroleum, can also prevent global warming. The images here indicate use of solar energy and use of windmills to prevent global warming. Reduce use of air conditions and refrigerators, etc. Afforestation, that is planting more trees and reducing deforestation, can also prevent global warming. Children, let us recall what we have learnt. There are 4 natural realms on the earth. They are lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere. The air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. Weather refers to the atmospheric conditions of small area for a short period less than 10 days. Climate refers to atmospheric conditions over a large area and follows a similar general pattern over 30 or more years. Ozone layer protects the earth from harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. This layer is affected by the greenhouse gases released due to the human activities causing global warming. Evaluation. Differentiate between weather and climate. Describe the layers of atmosphere. Write about the elements of climate. What is global warming? Suggest measures to prevent global warming. Having learnt about this lesson, climate and global warming, children, try to answer the worksheet of the previous classes related to the current topic with the help of your friends or teachers. Children, in today's lesson, we have learnt about different layers of atmosphere, the difference between weather and climate, and many things about global warming and the consequences of global warming, and we have also learned about the measures to prevent global warming. So, hope you have understood many of the concepts which we have discussed in this lesson, and please do try to get your doubts clarified with your teachers or your elders at home, and try to answer the worksheets related to this lesson. Until then, let us meet in the next class. Until then, thank you.